Hello guys. So it's been about a year since I uploaded my last video, and that video wasn't the best, I know. Today I just decided, I'm gonna upload again. So today I'm gonna talk about my CD collection. There's my CD collection. Yeah, it's not much. I've only been collecting for about a year, so I've just started. Yeah. I originally wanted this video to come out in the fall actually, but that video the fall came and went, and that video ended up being too long, so. And yeah, see, it's winter outside, if you can tell. Yeah, it's winter outside. It's pretty out, but I wish it was fall or spring, because the fall here is really pretty. Yeah, so here's just my collection. I'm gonna just quickly just show what the albums. So anyways, here we go. So starting off, we have As I Dying. Whoop, there we go. Gotta get into focus. Powerless Rise by As I Dying. Yeah, just good album. If you like As I Dying, you'll probably know what this album is. Next up, we have Cynic. Probably Meant to Free Us, my least favorite Cynic album. I only got it because it was on sale, and I want to collect all the Cynic albums because I'm a huge fan of Cynic. But it's still good. It's not a bad album, it's just not as good as their other ones. Next up, we have Black Crown Initiate, Souls We Cannot Forgive. This was an impulse buy, actually. I listened to it once, and I loved it so much that I just bought it. And yeah, it's just really good album. Really good progressive death metal album. My favorite song has to be Bely the Machine, but all these songs are awesome, like For Red Cloud, Sorrow Psalm, Souls We Cannot Forgive, the title track, ending track. It's just all awesome. Definitely worth checking out if you have never heard it before. And yeah, Austin beastly vocals, because the vocalist is a beast. Next up, we have All Shall Perish, the only All Shall Perish album I own. This is like probably my favorite one, I think. But it's been a while since I listened to it, so who knows. And yeah, this is probably the album that got me into melodic metal, or like starting to bend towards melodic metal, but I'm not so sure. But yeah, it's a really good album. It's up there as a really good deathcore album. Yeah. Next up, we have Archspire, the Lucid Collective. Now this one is special to me, mainly because it was the first death metal album I ever actually listened to. And so this is how I started liking death metal, was from this album. Yeah. Really good, fast, ridiculous, technical death metal. Just really fun all around. Not the best album out there, but it's always fun to just have your mind melted by fast metal. Next up, we have Suicide Silence, No Time to Bleed. Really like this one. Not as much as I used to, but it's still a good deathcore album. Not as good as their other ones, but it's still worth checking out every now and then and listening to. Just put on some heavy music. Yeah. And it also has a song Disengage on it. Next up, we have Cynic Tracinaire. Yes, I'm a huge fan of Cynic, as you can tell. Now, I like this one a lot better than Kindly Meant to Free Us. A lot better. It's not my favorite album by them, but it's still awesome. Like, this is a fantastic album to listen to. Like, all the songs are just great. And yeah, I just love it. It's not as metal oriented as Focus or there is, but I still really like it a lot. It's really awesome. Glad I own it. Next up, we have Scar Symmetry, Holographic Universe. So yeah, this is a melodic progressive metal album. I don't really know how to classify it as. But yeah, I really like it. Really high level of musicianship on this album. It doesn't interest me as much as the other albums though. But yeah, the instrumentation is level. It's just really insane. Like, these guys are pretty skilled musicians, honestly. Yeah, I like it. Not my favorite though, but it's worth checking out. And if you like, and yeah, I liked it enough to buy it. But yeah, it's a good album. Not my favorite, but it's still really good. I don't know what I was saying there. Next up is my all-time favorite album of all time. Killswitch Engage, Lyra Just Breathing. I don't know what it is about this album, but I just absolutely love it. And every time I listen to it, it brings a smile to my face. This album. I like all these songs, they're just great. And just, I love it so much, it's really got me playing guitar, this album did. Even though I don't really play Killswitch Engage riffs or anything on my guitar. But it at least got me into playing my guitar, the main album at that. So yeah, it's my favorite album. It's probably the best metalcore album of all time, obviously, if it's my favorite, in my opinion. But not the best per se, that's up to you to decide. Yeah, just my absolute favorite metalcore album, just absolutely awesome. Next up, we have As I Lay Dying and Ocean Between Us. Now another album I'm happy to own because this is the album that really started everything for me. I heard it and I was just like, oh yeah, I'm staying with metal, listening to metal. It has songs like Nothing Left, I Never Wanted, and This Is Who We Are. But the other ones are great too. But yeah, it's just another awesome album. And it's another great metalcore album, so if you like metalcore, good, worth checking out this one. Next up we have Universum Mortis Machina. Now this CD should not exist, but it does, because the guitarist of the band actually found extras, and I actually contacted him, and he sent me one for about $10. This is for about $10. So yeah, it's a really nice modern melodic death metal album. I absolutely love this album still to this day, and I procrastinate on a lot of projects listening to this. It's just a really good album. Next up we have Faceless by Planetary Duality. I really like this album. Pretty new to this band, but I really like this album. It's like if Cynic and a technical death metal band had a baby, and the tone of the album was a metalcore one. And yeah, it's like a weird description, but it actually turns out really cool. It's just nice to put on and listen to every now and then. Next up we have the masterpiece Rivers of Nile, Where Owls Know My Name. Now this album is freaking fantastic. I love this album. I actually waited just for a CD just to listen to it in its entirety because the singles are so good. I'm like, I need to get a CD. Yeah, I'm glad I own it. Just a freaking masterpiece. If you can get your hands on this album, this is the one album where I would say get your hands on it, because this album is just great, and it's up there as one of the best albums to come out in recent memory. Yeah, I just love it. Next up we have Tama by Dark Tranquillity. I really like this album. It's a limited edition digipack I bought. It said $5 on the site, but I ended up paying $24 for it, so it's the most expensive purchase. It was a blind purchase, but I'm not going to do any more blind purchases because I don't want to risk it. But this album was awesome though, so at least it was worth it. Like, this album is just a really great melodic death metal album. And yeah, this whole thing is just really fun to listen to. And check it out if you like melodic death metal. Next up is an absolute favorite of mine, Anterior, This Age of Silence. Now I really love this album. Yeah. And yeah, a lot of great songs. It's a really awesome melodic thrash metal band, and they're not around anymore, but they made some awesome music. And yeah, this album really got me playing guitar too. Like, really good music. I love it. Next up we have Black Crown by Suicide Silence. Everyone, if you know Suicide Silence, you probably know this band. You probably know this album. What am I saying? Yeah, you probably know this album if you know Suicide Silence. This is probably their most popular release and what started everything for me. Besides, yeah, An Ocean Between Us by As I Lay Dying. But this album is just awesome. Really got me started vocals and everything. And yeah. And the first album I listened to in its entirety, so it's kind of a special one. But it's not my favorite. And next up, we have Korn, The Nothing. So this album is pretty new. It's probably, yeah, it's kind of new, but newer, I'd say. And yeah, it's basically Korn. Really good album if you haven't heard it. It's basically Korn with a modern sound. and you know Korn. Korn is Korn. It's a really good band, an album. Next up we have Cynic, and I have the expanded edition, Cynic's Focus. This is the last Cynic album I own, but this is probably my favorite one. This album is a freaking masterpiece. I love it. And yeah, see, it's got bonus tracks and some Portal songs, remixes, and even a bonus song at the end. But yeah, this album is just awesome. And the fact it still sounds so good and futuristic to this day, kind of. Even amongst modern day metal albums. It's just great, a fantastic masterpiece. I absolutely love it. And finally, my last Suicide album I own is The Cleansing. This is their heaviest album. Yeah, it has songs like Destruction of a Statue, my favorite song, Eyes Shown Shut, Unanswered, and No Pity for a Coward, for example. But yeah, really heavy, just really awesome. Not much else to say if you know Suicide Silence. And I don't like it as much, but still, if I want really heavy music, I like to put it on. Next up, we have Septic Flesh's Communion. Really like this awesome symphonic death metal band, and this is considered one of their best albums. I'm glad I own it. It's just awesome. The vocalist, he's an absolute beast, and with everything going on around his vocals, it's just awesome. I love it. Symphonic death metal is just good. And I regret having this, but if I can grab it. Baby Metal self-titled. Now, I did not buy this one or even want this album. I got this one for free as a free mystery album from Century Media. Yeah. And I don't really like it. Or actually never listened to it, I don't feel like listening to it. Maybe I will one of these days. I don't know. But yeah, I just own it. And then next up we have Deicide in the Minds of Evil. Now this album is really awesome. Like the riffs are fantastic. Like awesome groovy death metal riffage. The only thing I hate though is the lyrics are like super anti-Christian and they just comes off as cringy. And yeah. But yeah, awesome death metal album, worth checking out. It's awesome. And next up we have At the Gates, A Drink from the Night Itself. Only At the Gates album I own. Pretty awesome album. It's got some cool riffage and violins and other stuff added. It sounds really cool, but the production ruins it. But I'd still recommend it though. It's still pretty awesome. And yeah, it's got awesome album art. Yeah, it's another album worth checking out. I need more At the Gates. And next up we have Knocked Loose, A Different Shade of Blue. Now, I just bought this on a whim. But it was a good whim, though, because this is a really good album. The only thing wrong with it, yeah, it's not the best, but I really liked it, and it's fun to listen to. But it's really short, though. Just a heads up. It's quite short. So if you ever decide to listen to this, just keep that in mind. And next up, I'm had on this one, but it's an original. This is an original Ferret Music copy of. Yeah, if I can show that, there we go. Original Ferret Music copy of Killswitch's very first album. I'm glad to own this album because it's kind of, this album isn't really around much anymore, and I'm glad I own it. It's not their best, but it's probably their heaviest album, Killswitch's, and yeah, I just love it. I don't know, it's so blurry. There we go. Yeah, just awesome album. Check it out if you haven't. It's really awesome. Next up, we have another Killswitch album. As Daylight Dies. This is probably like a classic album everyone knows. Yeah, I like Killswitch a lot. Who doesn't? They're an awesome metalcore band. Yeah, awesome band and album. Next up, we have another class. Oop, hope my CD's okay. And A Heartache by Killswitch Engage. I also love this one. Yeah, everyone knows this one. If you know metalcore, you know this album. Howard's vocals are amazing, just awesome. And finally, we have Atonement. Now, it's not as great as their other Killswitch's other albums, but best album they made in 12 years. And yeah, just great. It's great. Awesome song. It's not their best, but best album they made in 12 years for sure. And yeah, so that is my collection. It's not much, but hopefully I'll add more. And I also think about reviewing the albums too and updating everyone on whether I make them or not. But yeah, so that's my collection, and yeah, I'll see you later. Goodbye.